Welcome back to another episode of Bad and Barred. It's
We
your
back,
girl,
baby.
Ivy B.
And Kenny C.
What does C stand for?
I don't know.
Okay. It's something new every time with you, and I actually am sick of it.
And Kenny with the JD. But that feels weird because you also have a JD, so it doesn't distinguish me.
You know what? Fine. Kenny the attorney is what we'll call her because guess what, y'all? In less than 2 months, girl, my girl gonna be an attorney. The bar exam is
actually barred.
a barred licensed attorney.
Yes.
So it's gonna be 2 of us. It ain't gonna be no, little law student, JD, so and so and such, all these little names. It's just gonna be 2 black women attorneys out here. And that's just that on that. So let's get into it. We talking about Donald Trump. And I just have to say that my feelings are very hurt because we've already recorded this and somehow the video has been deleted. And so I'm in a lot of feelings. I'm having a lot of feelings. But we're going to get through this.
Yes. We're just going to do a quick little hot take because, like she said, we had already recorded a whole video. And so this is the second time of us talking about this. And we were in a good little groove, too.
We were. It was so good.
So it's not going to be all that right now. Sorry, y'all. We're just going to have a little hot take. Because this is like hot news, though.
It is.
Breaking news.
It's fresh.
More will be coming. And so this could be a more like fleshed out conversation.
We can talk about it again later if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
The ruling just came down. When y'all hear this, it may be in a couple of days, but for us, it came down a couple of hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Donald Trump has been convicted on 34 felony accounts. 34 felony counts.
Mm-hmm. He
is now a convicted felon. Donald Trump, who's running for president of the United States, is a convicted felon.
Amen.
And it's so crazy that we're here. He's still running for president. It does not bar him from running for president. And it's mind-blowing that the only qualifications that you need to run for president in this country are for you to be, 35 years old and a U.S.-born citizen.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-blowing. So what do you think about that? What do you think when the framers wrote the Constitution that they had in mind when they created that? And was it intentional or not? I thought not, but tell me how you land on this.
I think the framers said if we make felons not be able to run for president, can't none of us run for president. So we're going to take that out.
Here we are.
We're going to take that out.
See, in my mind, I was thinking obviously, it was so obvious that the framers didn't even have to consider it, right? Obviously, a felon can't be the president, so they didn't think to write that in there. They were thinking it's as simple as saying, duh, crackhead can't be the president of the United States. We don't need to put that in the Constitution.
Yeah. But that gives them way too much credit.
Yeah.
That gives them way too much credit. I think we, as Americans, because I can't say any other country has this thought, but we put our founders up on this high pedestal. We actually make statutes and monuments and dedicate things to them, but they are people just like we are.
And some of them were extremely young. One of the founders was, I think, 18 years old.
But it was only living to 30 at that point.
Very good point.
I mean, let's be for real. But they were young. They were, I don't know if technology makes a difference or what, but, they didn't have the things we have today. They weren't as advanced. They were also owning slaves. So anybody who thinks it's okay to own people... I don't trust your judgment that well. I ain't gonna hang my hat on you.
That part. So let's talk about the charges.
Yes.
He's charged with 34 different counts. And ultimately this stems from his 2006 sexual encounter with the porn star Stormy Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And, he is, I ain't gonna say accused no more because it is what it is. He a guilty man. He had sex with Stormy Daniels in 2006 right after Melania Trump had given birth to their child.
Which he admits.
He admits.
So that's not the issue.
Right. He said it happened once. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I hit it, I hit it, I hit it, I hit it. But
Please.
That's neither here nor there. What
Right.
the problem is
Mm-hmm.
that in 2016, when he decided he was going to run for president, he was like, "Oh, I got to keep my hoe silent. Let's put some money on her books and keep her quiet." Not literally, no books, but let's give her some money, shut her up.
Because you should have just put it on your books. And that's the problem now. You put it on the book.
He said, let's keep her quiet
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want them problems coming up. I'm running for the president and I don't need this to come out.
Right.
His bestie at the time, they enemies now.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Cohen decided that he was going to put up some money for Trump because they were broke.
Right.
And so Michael Cohen takes out a home equity loan for $130K to pay Stormy Daniels off. Trump says, "I'm gonna hit you back later, bruh. When I get the
I got you. I'm good for it."
And it ends up paying him
$420,000 around. Yes.
$420,000K.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is documented. They have like actual documents that show these transactions between each other.
Right.
And that comes back to bite them in the booty because Trump lists them as legal expenses.
Which they were.
He was legally paying off his hoes.
But, I mean, that's actually, I won't say it's smart, but, I mean, he didn't do it himself, though he might as well had.
Right.
And so, of course, his defense is, I didn't tell him to do that.
I do it.
I didn't do it, and I didn't tell him to do that. So, if he did it, that ain't on me. You know?
Well, Michael Cohen testified.
Well, that's why he had to. Because he gonna throw me under the bus.
That he told me
Mm-hmm.
to tell y'all, to tell them to pay that hoe.
Right.
And that's just what happened. Let
Right.
me stop calling her a hoe because I don't really know her like that.
That girl.
And you know,
Very
she
nice.
Exactly.
For all we know.
There's some nice hoes in the world. Anyways, here we are.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are just months away from the presidential election. We are in, May? We have a couple of months left on this campaign trail.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that we're going to stop Trump is if he is incarcerated. And so he goes up for sentencing, what, July?
July 11th.
Right. And how much time is he eligible for?
He's eligible for 136 years.
Good
He was
God.
convicted on 34 counts.
Uh-huh.
And up to 4 years on each count.
Okay.
And so if he would get the maximum on each count, 136 years.
And what you think about that? How is that going to turn out?
I think we all know how that's going to turn out. That man ain't going to jail. He ain't going to prison. He's not. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If it does, I will, now listen, I love to be proven wrong. But I don't think anybody really foresees that they'll put him in prison.
That's right. Several legal analysts have observed and written opinions about this, and they said, you know what? He's a first-time offender. People who've gotten charged with similar things, falsifying documents is what he's charged with. People who've been charged with things like that don't typically get jail time, especially not on their first offense. Never have I
His
ever.
first offense.
His first conviction.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll take that.
Yeah. Never have I ever been one that signed up in line advocating for somebody to go to prison. Y'all know, deep down inside, I'm an abolitionist. But this one right
She's
here.
been fighting the power all day, every day.
And do.
And look what your power did. Okay? I mean, it's just, and the only thing, let's not get it mistaken, is not that if he was in jail or because he would go to jail that he couldn't run for president. It would just be because he physically would not be able to run for president.
Exactly.
And if they could figure out a way to run the campaign from the jailhouse, he still could.
So some people are, saying that we might land somewhere in the middle with this, that he will get probation and end up on house arrest rather than actually physically being in jail. And there's nothing in the Constitution that says a probationer who's on house arrest can't be in the White House, because technically that will be his house. They're going to send up a little, change of address for him, send him up to the White House, and our president will be walking around with an anklet if he gets elected.
Him and Boosie have a lot in common.
Literally.
I think it's definitely unprecedented.
Sure, it's absurd.
It's unprecedented. We've never had to have these types of conversations of, is my president wearing an ankle bracelet?
Yeah. Either that, another option is he could do weekend jail. They could say...
Which to me, if y'all do that, I'm leaving.
It's beyond you.
It's really beyond me. I'm leaving. I'm going to Canada. They ain't got no problems there. I'll see y'all later.
Cancel Christmas. Cancel Kwanzaa.
Please, cancel it all. Because on the weekends, you want to...
He's serving in the White House Monday through Friday, and then they ship him out to the Yard House.
But really, how would he really be able to do that? How would he really be able to, even on probation, like people who obviously have been incarcerated, things like that, they know the limitations once even, just being on probation. That does not mean you're free and clear just because you're on probation.
No, sure. But what I think is they've done unprecedented things this whole time.
That's true.
We've never seen anybody just signing executive orders, just doing stuff. So how, logistically, they would figure it out. Sadly, I think that they would. But, as you and I both think, and as many legal analysts think, that the likelihood of him getting jail time is slim. And
even probation.
Right.
You want your president on probation?
I mean, no, I don't. I don't want a convicted felon in the White House. Let's just be real. Because you can not vote as a convicted felon in most states. So to say that you can run the country as a convicted felon, that's literally mind-blowing.
It's crazy.
It's so contradictory. It's just insane, which is why I deep down in my heart want to believe that the framers just thought that was a no-brainer.
Please.
Girl said don't give them no benefit of no doubt.
The framers like, now how I get in it? We was just making laws. We didn't know y'all was going to take it too far. We had no idea.
So what we're looking at is two presidents. One who's Joe Biden, who, many people are saying is so senile that he does not belong to be in the White House again. Then another who is a convicted felon. It's the only two options that we have. And so many Gen Zers are saying that they're not going to give Joe Biden their vote because single-handedly, because he is funding the war in Palestine.
Right.
And so
Not single-handedly.
No, not single-handedly. I worded that wrong. On a one-issue basis.
Right.
That one issue being genocide for a lot of younger Americans is a no-brainer because we have access to technology and we have been watching babies, brains and heads be blown off in a way that I think boomers are a little more disconnected from.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I really do, because when I hear older people, the few that I've talked to talk about this, they're just like, yeah, have a different take on the Israel and Palestine war, because I don't think that they have seen the images. The news is not cycling in the way that the social media images are.
But the boomers they be on CNN and on Fox, and they watch the news religiously.
Yeah. I just don't know if those sites are covering it in the way that we're seeing. Like, I've been watching actual Palestinians who are on the ground, who are recording and reporting. Like, I've seen a lot of those videos on TikTok, and that's a lot of where, Gen Z is. And so the likelihood of Biden winning, at least from the younger vote, right now it's not looking too good. Yeah. And so we are in a whirlwind of issues if Donald Trump becomes the president. And so, I want to talk about the Supreme Court case really quickly before we end this, because there is a Supreme Court case pending right now. Okay. Donald Trump has several cases. Let me just rewind for a second. He got this case that he was just convicted of today. He got 3 other criminal cases. Yes. In which he could be facing jail time for.
Question, doesn't have to be answered, but because I know those cases are kind of like on hold or on pause for now, but what happens if he does win? Are they going to wait to try those cases?
For sure. Okay. The President of the United States can...
So let's let you be president. Yeah, okay, and then we'll put you in prison.
Yep. Yep. Okay. You can't be criminally prosecuted while you're in the office. All your cases get stayed. Okay. Yeah. So
cute.
It's terrible. It's literally terrible.
Right. But go ahead.
So he has these 3 other cases. This one was the only one that had a strong likelihood of concluding before the election. We already talked about Fonnie Willis and how she done messed up that case in Georgia. But you know what? The case is still going to proceed. It's just likely not going to proceed before November. No. Then he has a federal version of that same case for election interference. And then he has one other case for removing documents, classified documents, and taking to Mar-a-Lago, his estate. So we have these other 3 cases. The Supreme Court is currently deciding right now whether or not Trump should have immunity from criminal prosecution for acts taken during office, which again, never been decided before. Civilly, we have seen that happen before. Right. But it's mind-blowing that the Supreme Court, mostly who are Trump appointees, are deciding whether or not he should be immune from criminal prosecution for acts taken while he was in office. Now, the one thing about this case is that I'll say is that it happened before he got in. So they ain't deciding on this one. The Stormy Daniels case, the money was transferred before he even got into office.
Right.
So their decision won't have any bearing on that one. This was the most foolproof case. The other cases, though, if they come down in Trump's favor, could technically be rendered null and void if they say that a president can't be prosecuted for criminal acts taken while he was in office. Then those other 3 cases go out the window.
But the Mar-a-Lago thing, wasn't that after he got out of office? Because that was the issue, wasn't it? That he was like, once he left and Joe Biden then moved in, he took those documents and took them to his house.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. I thought that some of those actions were taken concurrently. So I don't know.
Don't quote me.
Yeah.
But I think that's
what the issue was. Yes. Okay, I haven't followed that one in closely in the way that I have the other 2, the insurrectionist ones, because the January 6th one is the one that I was most fired up about and the one that I was following. So
but technically, was he in office then too?
Well, that's a good point. So they argue that he is in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, I think, has taken it up for that reason. Okay. Because they're saying that it was his actions while he was in office that emboldened his supporters to go. And he was still technically in office on January 6th.
But it was a technicality. Just because Joe hadn't been sworn in. But he had won,
but the transfer of power hadn't happened yet.
That's true.
And so, it's a mess. But the Supreme Court is currently deciding his fate on those other 3 cases. Well, technically, possibly 2. I need to go back and fact check the Mar-a-Lago one, because you might be right on that. But all in all, to say that this is an unprecedented time. We've been saying that, though, since the inception of the podcast.
That's what sparked this podcast. Because we were so just like, they can't fuck up no more than this. And what do you know? They surprise us every time.
Every time.
They gonna do it every time.
Right.
And we gonna be here to comment on it.
Andy's. Yeah. So let us know what y'all think about this Trump situation, about potentially having a felon in the highest position in this country.
Right.
I mean, again, like, it's mind-blowing to think about,
No matter what you think about him, though.
Right.
Like, put personal to the side.
Right.
Just off the strength of having a convicted felon in office, running the country. Y'all cannot. Nobody, I just don't know how anybody can really say, like, that's okay.
That. Right.
Because if it was Boo Boo and them, y'all wouldn't think that was okay.
They are doing everything to keep Boo Boo and them from voting.
From even looking at the doggone election office. They don't want to do... They are doing everything in their power, all types of antics and tactics to keep people away from the voting polls.
Correct.
You know this. You've dealt in this. And so to say, like, not only can this man vote on himself because he's a Florida citizen, so he is allowed as a felon to vote. He can vote for himself, and he can run and win.
It makes my head hurt. It makes my stomach hurt. I truthfully am already starting to mentally prepare myself for that November 6th that I experienced back in 2016. I'll just say November 5th, like election day of 2016. I went to sleep. Like, I didn't stay up watching, I just went to sleep because I was like, ain't no way. Like, ain't no way in hell Donald Trump gonna win this election. I went to sleep and moved on. I woke up to all these notifications, and my body, I went and used the bathroom, and I was sitting on the toilet, physically sobbing. Yeah. Literally sobbing, because it was, I was perplexed. Yeah. In total disbelief. This time, I'm preparing myself for the worst, because
I think we're all prepared.
It's just, we've seen, and I don't want to speak this into existence, because at the end of the day, like, our words have power, and I want to be hopeful, but I'd rather prepare for the worst, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, because at this point, they've shown that there's nothing that they won't do. There's no links that they won't cross. You know, there's no morality, none of that in when it comes to this party. And, you know, I really want us to eventually talk about this Project 2025 because they've already written a complete plan for when they get into office.
Good to say about it.
Yeah, they've written a complete plan for when they get into office to ultimately take over the government and completely restructure it in the way that we know it. And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because ultimately they want to give Donald Trump the power of a dictator. They want us to have a king. And they've already put people in play. They've already identified the politicians that they're going to do that with. So that in January, if their candidate gets elected, they already got the people ready to move in.
Right.
And it's just terrifying to think about. And so I want people to consider that when they're talking about not voting. Because I understand, like I completely understand not being in support of what this president is doing.
Right.
But I'm also really struggling to think about the ramifications of not voting right now.
Right. You have to vote. That's just one. We can't tell you who to vote for. That's on you.
Right.
You know. I mean, but why would you want to vote for a convicted felon? But it's just a matter of no vote. It doesn't help.
Well, what about the other people? Because there are other people on the ballot. So what do you think about the third party candidate?
No votes, it doesn't help. Okay? You have two people to vote for. I mean, when has ever the Green Party or whoever taken the day?
Libertarians.
No, nobody. Never. Not once. It's always blue or red.
But could this be the time? Because
No, it's not. I can tell you right now. It's just not going to happen. I think most people are probably, like you said, the Gen Zs, they're not going to vote. And which I don't think it just wouldn't be prudent to do because, but also I think you have to look past, you know, your initial reaction. What is Trump's thoughts on this? He's
going to do the same thing. He would be doing even worse.
That's what I'm saying.
He'd be doing worse.
You can't even sit here and say, oh, Biden is doing this. He himself is doing that. And if Trump gets into the office, he'll be doing the same thing. Now what?
Absolutely 100%. He would be doing worse.
Exactly. Probably over there standing smiling with them and stuff. I mean, he can't probably go because he's on a house arrest or something. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you just have to think about this logically.
Yeah.
Like, Joe, he has only 4 more years. Who knows? But, you know, like, hopefully other
But that
things...
would be with our democracy intact, right? Like, that would still be with the government structure as we know it if Joe was in for 4 more years. It's not just like, oh, Joe or Donald Trump for 4 years. No. One is going to completely shift everything.
Well, it ain't going to be Joe because he ain't going to be here much longer.
She didn't kill Granddaddy Joe.
I ain't killed him.
Nah, that's really what everybody's saying, though. So many people are saying
I mean, God bless the man.
He's hanging on. He's hanging
by
on.
the thread on his hair, honey.
My
He is
God.
hanging on. So that's what I agree. I don't think there are really any good options. I don't. But
we got what we got.
We got what we got. It's literally the choice of two evils, and we have already seen what Trump has done and how he set things in motion.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I really it's a terrible place for us to be in, but you know, I think with Trump will be even worse.
Yeah, 100%.
Notwithstanding genocide. Like
genocide.
I mean, because
genocide to the side.
I mean, I can't even say that in good faith. Like, morally, that rips me apart to say. But with Trump, genocide on 5 million. Like, genocide times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, genocide on the American people.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully.
Yeah. No.
So, yeah. I'm just going to
This
wrap
is supposed
it up
to be
there.
a hot take.
We're going to wrap it on up. Thank you, y'all, for listening. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this Trump situation. What do you think about potentially having a convicted felon in the highest position in this country? Yeah. We're going to wrap it on up. Thank y'all, and we'll see y'all on the other side.
Holla.